So I'm here with CEO and founder, right, of Fortress Credit.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice to be here with you.
Nice to be here.
Randy, so we have a long history. I remember when we met, we were kind of like getting a little started. We weren't where we are today.
Yeah.
And I remember you, and we went through a few changes. But what has changed in the last 4 years? Was it 4 years when we met, or 5 years?
I think it's been probably 3 years or so, because we met through Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in Vegas now. It'll be 3 years in a couple months. Since then, I've hit the Inc. 5000 list twice, in that 3-year period. And I went from 12 employees to 50 plus employees, and sales have been going good. And, got some personal stuff going on in my life. But other than that, man, things have been great.
Yeah.
Expanding, building.
You
bought
also
3 apartment complexes since I met you. Actually bought 3 apartment complexes in the last 12 months.
Can you explain how what you're doing with the apartments and how that's been growing?
Yeah, I started doing syndication. So my partner and I find the deals, and then I syndicate them. I go out and I find people with money, whether it's a Roth IRA, a simple IRA, a 401k, cash, home equity line of credit, refinancing their house, whatever. We take their cash and we use their cash to buy our apartment complexes. On average, we look at 1,000 apartments before we buy one. And then we pay our investors 12 to 14% returns. And then when we sell that property in 5 years, we split the profits 50-50 with them.
Yeah. And does it help you a lot do you have any credit techniques that help you get these properties, or is it just basic, like the same financing that everybody gets?
Yeah, on the apartment complexes, as you know, there's no personal guarantees. There's no recourse. They're non-recourse loans. It's easier to buy. I mean, we just closed 3 weeks ago on a $13 million apartment complex. That $13 million, well, we put $5 million down. So the $8 million loan for that apartment complex was easier than me going out and trying to get an $80,000 condo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just easier to get apartment complex money than a single family once you're in it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's a good old boys network. You have to be invited in by someone, but once you're in, you're in.
Yeah. And before we jump into the credit, I want to cover this topic a little bit, Mark. I know you know a lot about taxes, and are you buying buildings right now before the year's over to help you with the taxes, or is that something you're looking at?
Yeah, I haven't paid personal income tax in like over a decade. Part of that is because I understand the tax game, and then part of it, I've purchased $33 million of apartment complexes in the last 12 months, and with cost segregation, cost segregation allows you to essentially rapidly depreciate everything inside that building within a 5-year period. Most of it your very first year, and then there's some other plans that you can do. I know Bobby talked about it, Driven, which is part of the Trump plan, that you can depreciate the whole thing all at once. So yes, we do that for taxes. I mean, that's one of the ways that Donald Trump's son-in-law, he's purchased $450 million of apartment complexes and real estate over the last 10 years, personally made almost $100 million in income, and has paid zero tax. Yeah. And it's all part of the tax game.
A lot of people don't believe that, like when I mention how you could make a lot of money and not pay taxes. Like what's like, how much money do you think you could make and not pay taxes? Is there a limit?
There is no limit. I mean, here's how it works. If you do what the government wants you to do, you don't pay taxes. The government wants you to invest right now, and it changes. They want you to invest in renewable energy. They want you to invest in oil. They want you to provide jobs, and they want you to provide housing. If you do one of those 4 things or all of those 4 things, you don't pay income tax. If you don't do that, then you have to pay. So it's kind of your reward. And they look at it as you as an entrepreneur, business owner, investor, if you're going out and you're putting your name on the line and you're investing your hard-earned money, the reward is no income tax. So I don't think there is a limit to how much you can make without paying taxes, because there's other, they call them loopholes, but they're not loopholes. But there's other programs out there. You just keep buying more apartments. And that's the crazy thing, is you can buy an apartment complex or any other kind of business, real estate or whatever, depreciate it. You can get a loan using the bank's money. You get the write-off, and then you can refinance it and pull your cash out. And if you refinance and pull your cash out, it's non-taxable because it's a loan.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not income. And so that's what a lot of investors do. And Robert Kiyosaki talks about this. Go buy your houses, refinance it, pull out the money, let your tenant pay it off, wait 5 years, refinance it, pull your cash out. And it's never taxed because it's not a loan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not income, it's a loan.
Now, with the next year or two coming, do you see a recession or something happening? Are you preparing for it in some way?
I hope so, man. I've been wanting this damn recession.
They've been talking about
for
it
like 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, and Trump's screwing it up. And what I mean by screwing it up is our economy is now the strongest it ever has been. Our unemployment rate's the lowest it's ever been. I think, though, in 2020, 2021, that we will see a downturn. I don't think we're going to get like what knocked you out the last time.
Yeah.
What knocked me down, what knocked out thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, millions of people. It's not going to get like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's got to come down a little bit because you're a millennial.
Yeah.
You know, think about the millennials that you know, not necessarily you and Sil, but the millennials that you know and not the people that work for you, how difficult it is for them to buy a house. Like in California.
Yeah.
The millennials can't. And so they're forced into renting. A lot of millennials don't want to, but I don't know that it's that they don't want to buy a home. I think they say they don't want to, but it's because they can't.
Yeah.
And it's because the housing market has just gone up. 11 years now, it's gone up. And over time, if you look at it, the real estate market corrects every 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
We're past that 10-year mark. So if you go back 100 years, it literally resets every 7 to 10, and we're at 11 years right now, almost 12 years right now, since it's actually gone down. So it's got to reset. I think it needs to reset for our younger generation. And as the baby boomers start to die, which this is already happening in Florida, I read an article yesterday on it. As the baby boomers die off, there is, in Florida right now, there's more inventory than buyers because the baby boomers are dying or they're being put into retirement homes. And so they're losing their second and third homes. So as that happens, I think we will see a decrease in our economy. As the baby boomers stop spending as much money,
Yeah. You're
going to see a decrease. As the baby boomers are forced to take their money out of the stock market because of the law that Richard Nixon signed into law in 1976, it was you have to start taking your money out at 70 and a half years old. As those things start to hammer in or come together, I think we'll start seeing a small recession, not a crash, but actually a recession. I hope so because I want to buy some real estate other than apartments.
Yeah. So for example, if the recession happens in 6 months, what would you do, and what would be the best advice you would give people to do to prepare for whenever it happens?
Yeah, I would say get your credit right now, get out of consumer debt as fast as possible, and start stacking and racking cash. You know, get many hours you can if you're a W-2 employee, if you're a business owner, just crank it out. You know, start grinding even harder to get as much money in the bank as you can, and be ready. You know, be ready for blood in the streets. And then when everybody's scared, that's when you start buying.
Like going back to 2008, when the recession happens, do creditors get a little bit more conservative? Like, let's say if you have high credit lines, are they going to lower them? And
yeah, they're going to lower the credit lines. They're going to start canceling credit cards like they did in 2009, 2010. They're going to start restricting how much money they completely freak out. They lose their mind, which then causes more problems.
Yeah.
Because the banks stop issuing money. So then people that are used to using the money to live, they stop spending it and they start freaking out, and the whole thing just starts to collapse. And I think they call it, the house of cards. But we're seeing that now with our business, with the credit repair business, that it's so easy to get a car loan. It's so easy. I had a guy call me today. He's got a 560 credit score.
Yeah.
He wants to buy a house, and he's like, all I need you to do is give me 20 points. Because then if I have a 580, I can get my loan. I'm like, dude, you want to get a 740, 760. He's like, no, I only need a 580. And he doesn't need to hire me to get 20 points. All he's got to do is pay off his damn credit cards and he'll have, 40, 50 points. So yes, I think what'll happen is the recession hits, if it hits and when it hits, the banks will tighten up their guidelines on lending.
How do you see them right now? Are they really aggressive right now?
They're really aggressive.
Yeah?
Very, very loose.
How easy is it to get a high credit card limit, and what FICO score do you need?
I don't know. It depends on what cards. I mean, most of the people that I deal with want the cash back, the reward cards. Mm-hmm. And most of those cards want to see a 740 or higher. However, the Capital One Venture card, they don't really have a minimum credit score, minimum as in like 600.
Yeah.
But, the credit card things, they're just throwing that money away. And especially on the business side, on the personal side, because most of the people that come to me are in the 400, 500, 600 credit scores. And they're just starting to rebuild. So they're not trying to get those big cards. Most of them just want some type of credit card. My business owners, though, they come in and they're getting $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 credit limits.
Yeah.
And the banks are just very aggressive on businesses giving away that money. But they are a lot more aggressive now than they were even 2 years ago with cards.
What about going back to 2007 or 6 before it happened, before the 2008 crash?
Well, before the 2008 crash, I was in that, that real estate market just like you. If you could fog up a mirror, they gave you the money. If you could sign, and you didn't even have to sign, as you know, someone else could fake sign your contracts for you.
Yeah.
Right? That was crazy. The banks are nothing like that right now.
Okay.
Nothing like that. But they are aggressive. They're more aggressive today than they were, say, 5 years ago.
So let's say if like using myself as an example, let's say I have Ambiance Realty Corporation, I have Mortgage Guys Corporation, I have Driven Corporation. I could get a huge credit line for each corporation?
Yes. Yeah.
Are they good? How does that work? Do they run the corporation EIN plus they run your social, or do they just run, or is it based on the EIN?
It depends on if you built business credit for those corporations. Sometimes they will look at, so for credit cards, for example,
yeah,
they will look at your personal credit report, but they don't do a hard pull. You actually just give them a username and password to your Credit Karma account or your Credit Check Total or Credit Mojo account, just your monitoring service. They'll just look at it to make sure that there's nothing crazy going on. Sometimes there's personal guarantees. Sometimes there's not personal guarantees. But like we have a program right now that if you have a business that is profitable, as in you make at least $100,000 a year, you have 2 years of tax returns, it's not on the restricted list, which is primarily just porn. Other than that, we can get you $350,000 in cash, 10-year loan in about 10 days, 10 to 12 business days, 350 grand. Then we have another program on that. We just funded our first one a week ago. We got them $25 million. $25 million. It did take 6 months to get it, but they are very aggressive on businesses right now to loan out money.
So they lent $25 million.
$25 million to an IT company.
And how much was this IT company generating?
He's generating about $3 million a year in revenue. And he got $25 million.
And is that top line or is that net?
That was top line.
Top line.
Top line. His net's nowhere. His net was like 1.5.
I mean, so somebody that's making $3 million could get that high of a credit limit.
Yeah. The guy that brought you down here, our friend, I literally could go and get him $100 million right now.
Why doesn't he do it?
Because he wants to build it up and sell it.
Yeah.
There's some other reasons. Him and I have talked about it. He's a funny guy, as you know. He wants to control things, and when you do that, you lose control. And there's, stockholders that now have control of it, and he'd be put the CEO. And anyway, but yes, you can get that money. But our SBA program, no collateral, as you know, when you do SBA loans, they want your house, they want your kids, they want your cars, they want everything. With this streamlined SBA loan, it's literally, you fill out the application on Monday, 2 weeks later, we're depositing 350 grand into your bank account with no collateral. Now there is a personal guarantee, but there's no collateral on it. And then some of these loans are no personal guarantees. But generally speaking, they want to see what's going on with you as the founder or the CEO of the company, the owner, just to make sure that you're not on the verge of bankruptcy trying to get an unsecured business loan to pay off personal credit cards.
So what happens if, let's say, this person gets the 25 million and then they can they go spend it in Mexico and then they come back and then like what happens? Well, is there like some sort of limitations, or how do
there is some limitations in there because the SEC is involved. You're actually taking your company public. So there is some restrictions and some guidelines and things that you can do and things you can't do. But it's 100 times easier to go public than it is to sell your company. Much, much easier.
Yeah.
And you're semi in control versus selling it. You know, when you sell it, a lot of times when you sell these guys will sell their companies and they'll have a 2 to 5 year contract. They got to stay on board, and the new owners will run it into the ground, or they'll fight with the new owners, or there's things that go on with it. You don't actually get all your money, and you got to now you become a slave to the new owner. You know, you can't come and go as you used to go.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, of course there's some restrictions to that. But it's still worth it. You know,
yeah, so
if you want to go big.
So what do you say the easiest, less risk one is the $350,000 business loan?
Oh, that one's
2 years
easy.
tax returns.
Yeah, that one's super easy. Even realtors actually can get it. So for you as a broker, your wife can get that. Real estate agents can't get those loans because they're salespeople. But if they own their own LLC, and like I'm sure you encourage your real estate agents to become LLCs, and you pay the LLC can actually get the loan.
Yeah. So what's better, corp or S corp or LLC? Like
Depends.
For agents.
Depends on what they're doing. So LLCs are for asset protection. Corporations for tax planning.
Yeah, like if they're just selling mortgages or selling real estate.
So they would most likely, and California is different, and you should always talk to a tax professional and legal counsel on this stuff. But I can tell you what I've done and what most of the people that I've advised to do is they set up an LLC tax as an S corp.
Yeah.
So you get the asset protection of LLC, but they get the tax planning and benefits of a corporation.
Yeah.
So LLCs tax as S corps. Generally speaking, you never want to put real estate inside of a corporation because of capital gains. You always want to do that in an LLC. But for a salesperson like that, LLC taxes and S corps usually the way to go.
Yeah.
And California's got some crazy laws with the franchise tax board. And again, you got to talk to a professional in California.
Yeah, yeah. So let's say if you have a $80,000 credit card and you're late once, and then they close that account, what's the best thing to do? Because then now the credit card wants you to keep paying it, but you can't use it anymore. Because sometimes you'll especially people that make more money, they'll use 70 grand and then pay it down 50, use it again, pay it off, and use it again. But sometimes they'll just close it. What do you do in that case?
You pay it. You know, you can get. I've seen this many times with my entrepreneurs where they rely on cash flow, and they got hit where the bank, they paid it off, and then the bank closes it, and they were planning on using that for next month.
Yeah.
For whatever purchases. But if you missed a payment and they close it on you, or if they just close it, then you just keep on making payments on it. It's not really detrimental to your personal credit if it's a closed account versus an open account with balances. That really doesn't apply much in the algorithm. It does a little bit, but it's not something like, your credit score is going to tank 50 points because they closed a credit card on you. Generally, that doesn't happen with those type of limits. Now, if you got brand new credit and they close your brand spanking new credit card, yeah, that could actually be very detrimental to your credit score. But in your scenario, you asked about an $80,000 credit limit. That's not somebody that's got brand new credit.
Yeah.
So it's most likely there's not going to be any hit whatsoever. You just keep making the payment. And what I would say, depending on interest rates and everything else, is as a business owner, that credit card just went to the back of the list. That credit card's now making minimum payments, and you're conserving your cash for future business purchases or future credit cards to make sure that the cards that you're going to need to use are staying open and accessible.
And let's just say somebody already went into collection. Now they have like an $80,000 collection. What do you do then now that it's in collection? What's the best case? Like, how can you help people with that?
Yeah, so I looked at one the other day. The guy had a $100,000 credit card, almost the same scenario, with one exception, and that was that he wasn't late. So he had a $100,000 American Express card. American Express decided that they were just going to close the account, and they demanded full payment because it was a platinum card. And the platinum cards, the payments are due in full. When the American Express says they're due in full, it's usually within 28 days. But Amex on this client actually said, we want all our money tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we're closing your account. And so this entrepreneur just said, well, if you're going to close my account, I'm not going to pay you. So they got in that pissing match.
Yeah.
It did go to collections, and that $100,000 credit card now is with a collection company called Nationwide, and Nationwide is offering him a settlement of like $38,000. So to answer your question, what should that person do? I would try to negotiate something with the collection company, because there's one of two things. If you pay $100,000 back to Amex or whoever, generally you can get back in their good graces and you get back to the rewards. But in this person's case, he probably will never get $60,000 worth of rewards or free flights. And so I told him, man, work out a payment plan on that 38 grand and pay off the collection company. Pay them $3 grand a month for the next 12 months or whatever. And then you go and you dispute it with my company, and we get the late payments and the collections and all that stuff deleted, because the collection companies and the banks almost always screw up somewhere with their reporting. In fact, today we have the Federal Trade Commission and the CFPB had an 8-hour hearing in Washington, D.C. on the inaccuracies of credit reporting. So it's very common for them to make a mistake. My company looks for those mistakes, and then we get the item permanently and legally deleted from the credit report. So I would say work out a payment arrangement with the collection company, and then move on.
Now, if you is there going to be like are you going to be like on the blacklist with American Express? Like if you it's going to be off the credit. You're going to be, let's say you pay off the collection company, but then let's say in a year when you have a 780 FICO score again, can you go back to Amex and tell them, hey, I want to open up another platinum card?
You can go back and say you want to open it up.
They're going to ask you for the money.
They're going to say no. But here's the beautiful thing. This is business credit.
Yeah.
This is not personal credit. So you don't, let's just say it was you.
Yeah.
You don't go out and ask them. You have Sil go and ask them.
Yeah.
You have your CFO go and ask them. You have your receptionist go ask them. And so the way it works with business credit is after 12 months. So I could go and have our camera guy, I could put him on right now as our CFO.
Yeah.
He could apply for American Express Platinum through my company. They're going to look at his personal social. He's going to do a personal guarantee. And in 12 months, as long as we make the payments on time, we can remove him as the primary or responsible party and put someone else on there. And so that removes him from it, puts you back on it, and now you got the credit card. So with personal credit, no, you can't do this. But with business credit, you just assign a new CFO.
So this is after 12 months.
After 12 months, yeah.
And it could be this. It could be under the same corporation or the same
Yeah.
company, and
Yeah.
you just have to have somebody else.
Or start another company. You know, go online
Yeah,
and set up a new LLC in Wyoming, a new marketing company in Wyoming, which you don't have to file tax returns there. Still got to do your federal. And then put your mom or your dad on as a CFO and founder of the company. And now you build business credit under the Wyoming LLC and you're up and running again.
Is there something special about marketing? Because I know a lot of people put marketing for their corporation or business.
It's just easy. That's it.
Yeah,
It's easy. I generally will, if you purchase my business credit course or went to any of my business credit building programs or seminars, I'd always tell you do management services versus marketing. But most people don't know what management services is, and most banks don't either. It's kind of like the catch-all phrase. Bain Capital, for example, Mitt Romney's company, is a management services company. They provide services and management to other companies.
yeah,
So marketing, management services, you just want to stay out of the restricted, high risk, like real estate, construction, seminar business. Those are going to raise some red flags. So you stay in the marketing, consulting, management services.
So, for example, for me, or for like, let's say like a Grant Cardone type of guy, and they're doing seminars. What's the best thing they could do to get credit for the seminars? And because I know it's a high risk, and I've been having problems with like
Merchant accounts.
Yeah, like we have like 10 of them, then three cancel us, 2 new ones approve us. Now they want to hold 25%, 10%. Someone want to charge more.
Yeah.
Someone to see the statements and all that stuff. So like do you have any do you know about what's the best way to go about that?
Yeah, for merchant accounts. I mean, I know this pretty damn well because I own a credit repair company. And I was on the restricted list for several years. Not me personally, but the industry.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of the industry. It was because of the clients. Our clients generally do a lot of chargebacks. And so you got to be really careful with this. If you lie, they're going to keep all of your money. So what a lot of people will do, again, is they'll do the management services, they'll do the consulting. But if you're running it through seminar stuff, you got to run it as seminars and you got to pay the 25% reserves.
Yeah.
Or you got to find a company that doesn't care. And there's a few of them out there. But to recommend what you should do, I mean, a lot of these guys, for example, Arte Syndicate, I'm a member of Arte.
Yeah.
They are not registered as a seminar business. They're a consulting company. And I can't remember the name of the LLC that shows up on my statement for my membership dues. But they're not under seminars.
Yeah.
It's a membership type thing, kind of like your Lightspeed VT.
Yeah.
You know, your Driven. What's the name?
Driven Academy.
Driven Academy, right? That's not a seminar business. That is an educational business. So you get your merchant account under that. Now you can sell tickets to other educational events. But here's the thing to that, Albert, is if you go from not processing anything to $1 million in a week or a month, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
And so you got to slowly build that up, or you have to get with a merchant provider and you say, look, we're going to launch. We're going to do 250 our first month. We're going to do 500 our second month. Mm-hmm. So they know that up front.
Yeah.
If you try to sneak through under books and books and products under Amazon, and you go from a $997 product to a $19,000 product, they're going to shut you down. They're going to keep your money. And that's the worst thing you got. I mean, that's a big problem.
Yeah. What about like
consulting business? So I have 5 different companies. One is a consulting and mentoring business. Mm-hmm. And again, my merchant account provider knows that my average ticket is $5,000.
Yeah.
So if you go and say in the beginning, my average ticket is, I own creditmojo.com. Our average ticket is $25. If I tried running a $5,000 purchase through Credit Mojo, that would immediately get blocked. They'd probably freeze my entire account and shut down. I have thousands of members. I'd probably lose all of that. So you got to be really, really careful with that. And you just tell them up front, our average ticket is $5,000. And what's going to happen is you're going to have bigger reserves. But here's the thing with the reserves, Albert. you get that money back. It takes a year, but you can start applying for it to get some of that coming back after a year.
Yeah. It's kind of like a savings account.
It is. It's literally, that's what it is. It's a forced savings account that you don't get interest on. And if you have any chargebacks, they're hesitant to give it back to you, but they control it. But yeah, it's a savings account. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars I have in my savings account.
Yeah.
But it's there. And the cool thing is if you shut down, it's cool and it's bad on the same thing. If you shut down the merchant account 6 months to a year later, you can get your money back. The bad thing is you got to shut down the merchant account to get your money back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're always going to hold. Generally what they're doing is they're holding 25% or 10%. In my case, is 10%. They're holding that until you reach a certain limit. And that limit is what you're processing on a monthly basis. If you have a growing company and every month you process more and more, like in my case and like in your case with Driven Academy, they always are holding more money. But if you go and you have established business and you're doing 50 grand a month and every month you're doing 50 grand, once your reserves hit 50 grand, they don't hold it anymore.
Yeah.
But when you're growing, and that's one of the growing pains, they're going to hold 10 or 25 or 50% or 100%. I've seen them. Literally, I had a merchant account that wanted to hold 100% for 6 months. Obviously, I didn't sign the contract on that one to use it.
Yeah.
But there are people that are desperate that'll do that.
So let's say if you have 100,000 there and you want to get it back, if you close the account, are they required to give it back to you?
Required, yes, but in your contract somewhere, I've never found it, but somewhere in there it says they can hold it indefinitely.
Oh, really?
Generally, you get it back after 6 months of zero chargebacks. But what I've found is there's always a mysterious chargeback that happens at like month 5 in 3 weeks, in 6 days. Even though the bank won't let you do a chargeback after 90 days, there's just mysteriously a chargeback. You don't know who, you can't contest it, and now they get another 6 months before they give you back your money. So is it legit? I don't think so. I think it's the bank doing it. But, you know, that's the thing is banks, the reason that we have so many laws governing banks, for example, in the credit space, there are hundreds of laws that regulate the banks. And the reason why is because the government knows the banks play by their own rules. And it used to be the Wild Wild West, like it is in business credit. In business credit, there are no rules. They can do whatever the hell they want to do. In the personal credit space, they're regulated, which is how we're able to get late payments and charge-offs and collections and bankruptcies and foreclosures, short sales, tax liens, judgments removed from credit reports, is because the laws say what they have to do.
Yeah.
But the banks break the law every day.
Yeah, which leads me to my next question. Like how is your company Fortress Credit different from all the other credit companies that fix credit? Because I used some in the past, and they weren't that professional.
Yeah.
Like they would charge monthly fees, and then 6 months would go by, and we're still working on that. We're still working on it. And then I would refer clients, and same thing. And it was just like I was kind of looking bad, and then clients were complaining to me. I know you don't charge. You have a different way of charging on how you fix credit, right?
Yeah. So what makes us different than everybody else is we get paid for success. The other companies get paid for practice. We're America's first paid on results. So if someone comes to us, you refer someone to us, they don't actually pay us anything unless we deliver a result. If they have a credit report, a real credit report, we can do a free consultation based on that report. If they don't, we will pull one on our own. It's $25 for 3 bureau, 7-year report, which is $25 is cheap for a 3 bureau report. You know, you pull thousands of reports. They're expensive. At that point, if they hire us, they can pay us $25 to get started. That's pays for their audit. We're going to do the audit and then bill them later for it. And then in 10 days, we're going to check their credit after we send out our dispute letters. 10 days later, we check their credit. If we deleted a collection or an account with late payments or bankruptcy, then we bill them $125. If we didn't delete anything, there is no invoice. A month goes by, we pull their credit again. If we deleted something, we send them an invoice. We didn't delete anything, we don't get paid. So all of these big companies out there, your Lexington Laws, your Blue Skies, your Credit Pros, your KCs, there's so many of them out there. They get paid to practice. We get paid for results. And it's a lot like you. If I come to you and I want to use your real estate company to sell my house, how much do I pay you to try to sell my house?
You pay me until I sell it.
I don't pay you anything unless you sell it, right? Yeah. If I want you to do a loan for me, how much money do you make trying to get me a loan?
Nothing.
Nothing. We do the same thing. And this is our biggest hurdle, is explaining this to our clients, because they have been hoodwinked. They're convinced that you have to pay someone to try. Can you imagine this in real estate? If the realtors say, you have to pay me $1,000 a month while I try to sell your house.
Yeah.
How hard would, and you know this, how lazy most real estate agents are. How hard do you think a real estate agent would work if they got paid a monthly fee for trying to sell your home?
Yeah, they wouldn't work at all. That's why, I mean, that makes sense why these credit companies just take month after month after month and no results.
Yeah, and with us, we get paid for performance. We get paid for the deletion. We don't want to take months. We want to take minutes to hours to weeks, because the faster, just like in real estate, just like with your real estate company or mortgage company, the faster you sell that house, the more money you make. Now, you make the same amount of money, but it's less effort.
Yeah.
We want to fix everything in that first couple days that you're with us and then bill you later. And sometimes it can be expensive. If you have 20, 30 collections at $100 a piece, it's going to get expensive. So we allow our clients to pay us back at $25 a week.
So let's say Danny, for example, has 3 credit cards, Chase, Bank of America, and Amex, and he has 1 30-day late on each of those 3 cards. That's going to affect him a lot on his FICO score, right?
Yes.
And like realistically, how much would it cost, and how long would it take for that to get resolved?
So he's late on all 3 credit cards?
Yeah, 30-day late on all 3 of them.
So it's going to be, we charge per account, not per late payment. So if he had 1 late payment or 100 late payments, it's still $125. If it's a major credit card, it's going to be on all 3 bureaus. So it costs him basically $375 per account. So it costs him a little bit over $1,000 to get that removed.
But he doesn't have to pay anything until it's removed.
Correct. He would not pay. He pays us an audit fee of $200 for the audit fee.
Yeah.
And we used to not do the audit fee. And you know what happened? We had thousands of people hire us and never pay us because they gave us nothing. Like, they just wanted to see if it would work. And we'd literally call them and say, hey, we just deleted everything. Like, oh, shit, I didn't think this was going to work. I don't have any money. And so now we charge a flat fee of $200 for the audit fee. They can pay that at $25 a week if they don't have the money right now. And then on the after 90 days, if we don't, like, if Danny hired us, it'd be $25 for the credit report, $200 for his audit. In 90 days, we didn't delete anything. We'd give him back the $200 for the audit, plus the $25 for the credit report. So we give him back all of his money, and we give him an extra $100 because we failed. And we will do that out of the thousands of clients that hire us. We probably refund 1 a month.
Yeah.
It's maybe 10 a year. I don't know. It's so little that I'm not even notified of it. They just go in, they refund it, and it's done.
Now, these lates being recent lates, obviously Chase, Bank of America, those are going to be on all 3, right? Experian, Equifax.
Yep, most likely they will be.
Like, how long more or less does it take to remove a recent late?
It really depends on the bank, the time of the year. So as of this recording, this is December, right before Christmas. Right now is the best time to fix your credit because people are in Christmas mode. They're on vacation. They're calling in sick. They don't want to be at work. So the Christmas time of the year, it's easier to get people's credit fixed. January is easy. Come April, May, it's going to get a lot harder because that's going into the home purchasing months. But so I've deleted bankruptcies in as little as 21 days. I've deleted late payments in as little as 72 hours. And then sometimes it's taken me 6-7 months to get something deleted.
How do you delete a bankruptcy?
It's the same way we get everything else deleted. The Fair Credit Report Act states that if the credit bureaus report an item on a credit report, they have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
And most credit bureaus do not follow the rules when it comes to bankruptcies.
And what's the percentages of a mistake that the creditors made?
100%.
Really?
100% of all credit reports have mistakes. 100%. My credit report has mistakes on it. Here's a great example. Your credit card. So we were talking about Danny's Bank of America credit card.
Yeah.
How many numbers in his account number? It's 16.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a Visa, it starts with a 4. If it's a MasterCard, it starts with a 5. American Express starts with a 3. Okay, these are the rules.
Mm-hmm.
American Express has 15 digits in an account number. Visa, MasterCard, and Discover have 16 digits.
Yeah.
When you look at a credit report, and you've looked at thousands of credit reports, do you ever see a full 16-digit account number?
Never.
Never. Why? Because the banks say they don't want to put all that information on there. The Fair Credit Report Act says if you report, it has to have an accurate, verifiable account number, not the last 4. But what you see on a credit report is almost always the last 4 or 5 digits, or the beginning 4.
Yeah.
Capital One, there's millions of Capital One credit cards out there. They all start with 4147. Millions of them. Mm-hmm. So can you see how millions of credit cards can get merged, and 77% of all identity theft that our government says is the fastest growing crime in America, 77% is because the credit bureaus merge someone else's files together because it's a portion of the number. So how do we get it deleted? It doesn't have the full 16-digit account number. If it doesn't have the 16-digit account number, they can't legally report it.
Yeah.
They can't legally report it. They can't legally leave the late payment on there. And so what we do is we will ask them, why are you not reporting the full account number? If you can't report the full account number, how can I trust you the late payment's correct? I don't think it is. Please fix the late payment or delete the account. So those delete it. If they don't, you now have a legal right to sue that bank. So what's easier? Delete it or now deal with the lawsuit?
Yeah. And I'm sure if this is not the case, there's a bunch of other mistakes.
There's hundreds of laws.
Yeah.
Hundreds of other things we're looking at. Dates open. Next time we look at a credit report, look across the board. Equifax will have one open date. Experian TransUnion will have a completely different date. Equifax will say one balance. Experian TransUnion will say something completely different. They'll have everything's different on them. And what people don't realize is the credit bureaus are in competition with each other. It's like Ford, General Motors, and Dodge. Mm-hmm. You know, those are the big 3 car manufacturers in America. We got Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. They are competing against each other. They're trying to take market share from each other. And whatever they can do to save money and make more money, they're going to do it, including cutting corners on how they report.
Wow.
So that's how we can get stuff deleted, like bankruptcies.
So let's say if you have a Bank of America card and you have a 30-day late and you remove it.
Yep.
Now, is Bank of America internally still going to have that 30-day late on their record, or is it, and it just comes off like?
Correct.
Yeah.
Bank of America will still have that 30-day late record on theirs, as will the credit bureaus. It's just it will not be on your consumer disclosure, otherwise known as a credit report. Okay, it won't be on the credit report, so your potential creditors, your future creditors can't see it.
Got it.
Bank of America knows it's there. It's kind of like a car. If you go get a little fender bender and you don't tell the insurance company and you pay cash to fix it, you know.
Got it.
Auto body shop knows, insurance company doesn't, Carfax doesn't know, but it still exists. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the car, it looks clean for the potential buyer, but you know that you had a little snafu in the bumper.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how the credit reports work.
Kind of like if you cheat on your girl and then she just stays quiet and doesn't say anything.
Yeah, she knows, and the dude you cheated on with knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it's kind of like that. They know, but no, the future doesn't.
Now,
future creditors.
Now, what's easier to take off, old stuff or new stuff? Or is it the same?
Well, most of the time, to answer that question, is going to be old stuff. More than 6 months old. But that's not always the case. Generally, it's old stuff. And it could be, the other thing is a lot of these credit card companies, they make so much money. I mean, we run hundreds of thousands of dollars a year through our credit card. If I had a late payment because something happened and I'm running hundreds of thousands of dollars a month through a credit card, and I could call up American Express and say, look, I know I was late. Can you just remove the late payment? They're going to say, well, according to the Fair Credit Report Act, we got to report accurate information, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, I know you got to report it accurately, but there's no law that says you have to report it. So could you just like remove the data? And that's why you'll see no data or ND on these credit reports, no data that month, or it'll be blank. That's what happened. They missed a payment. They called up and they removed the data. They're not reporting it was paid, and they're not reporting it was late.
Yeah.
So sometimes that happens on the new stuff if you have a good relationship with your credit card company. And then on the old stuff, let's say it's a collection company and it's been sold 3-4 times. It's like your car driven, your prostitutes. You've used it over and over and over again. Nobody knows who owns that prostitute anymore.
Yeah.
And so it makes it difficult to get it removed. But there's nothing on a credit report that can't be removed. Nothing.
Yeah.
If it's placed on the credit report, it can be taken off the credit report. You know, if you put your shirt on, you can take your shirt off.
Yeah.
Right? Eventually, it will fall off on its own. So if you put a shirt on and you never take it off, as in the credit report, after 7 years, it'll wear out and it'll fall off.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it works with credit reporting. If they put it on, they can take it off. It's just whether you can force them to take it off.
Now, personal credit compared versus business credit, what should you use each for, and what are the pros and cons of each?
So business credit is using your business profile for business credit. So when you have a legitimate business, you are issued what's called an EIN number.
Yeah.
Your employer identification number. It's the exact same amount of numbers as your social security number. The only difference is it's your social security number is 3 digits, then a dash. On an EIN number, it's 2 digits and then a dash. That's your social security number. That is what you use to build business credit, and your Dun & Bradstreet number, which is the largest business credit reporting software out there, agency. So anything business related, you really should be using your business credit. The average credit card right now on personal, according to bankrate.com, is $5,000 credit limit. The average for a business credit card is $30,000. What would you rather have? A $5,000 personal credit card trying to pay your marketing expenses, or a $30,000 business credit? The other advantage to business credit is it doesn't show up on your personal credit.
Yeah.
So if you max out your business credit card, your credit score, your business credit score goes up. If you max out a personal credit card, your personal credit score goes down. So you should always try to use business credit for business-related purchases and personal credit for personal. Can you commingle? Yes. If you get audited, you could get in some trouble there. So if you're using personal credit cards to pay for business expenses, like 85% of business owners do, separate it. If your Bank of America credit card is your personal name and you use it for business, don't put personal expenses on it. Just leave it for business. The IRS doesn't care who's the personal guarantee or guarantor. They just want to make sure that it's separated. Back to the whole thing with your, no, I'm not even going to go there. You just want to keep everything separate. Yeah. Business on one, personal on the other one.
Yeah. So for business credit cards, what are the top 2 you recommend for somebody that's starting a business? Can somebody apply for, let's say somebody with decent credit and they're thinking about starting a small company, is there 2 top credit cards that you recommend for them to apply for?
Yeah, the one I'd recommend most for business owners would be the American Express Platinum. The reason I like any of the American Express series are great for business owners. If you're a business owner that travels a lot, then I'd recommend the Platinum because of the benefits. I posted this the other day. I was in Miami yesterday. The line was insane. I bet it was a 2-hour-long line to get through through TSA. I have TSA pre-check. I just strolled on through. You know what's really cool in Miami right now? I don't know if LAX has got this. Do you have to show your boarding pass at TSA anymore?
No.
At LAX or
not today, at least.
You just gave them your driver's license, right?
Yeah.
And they scanned it. So, but because of that, I have TSA, because American Express paid for that, I just scrolled right on through. Then I went to American Airlines Club, and I had dinner for free. I had some drinks for free. So if you travel, I like to use American Express Platinum. Chase Sapphire has some great business cards. Bank of America has some good cards. There's lots of them out there. But for the most part, any of the American Express series cards work good for business, especially like the Plum. All of those are good.
Which one's the best B of A card for business?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Bank of America's got all their own. I don't know which one's better. I think they're all about the same.
Yeah.
I'll give you 1 for 1. The nice thing with the Slate cards, you can get 2 for 1, and then there is a Chase card. It's a Chase Slate. You get 4 for 1 on marketing.
Yeah.
So if you're buying a lot of Facebook ads, like we spend a lot of money on Facebook, you can get 4 points for every dollar you spend in marketing.
And this
that stuff adds up fast.
Okay.
You know, if you spend, I have a friend right now spend about $3 million a month in marketing. Figure he's getting 12 million points a month if he was using a Chase card. He's not. He's using his American Express. The nice thing with American Express is there is no pre-spending limit. So there's no credit limit. As in set, it's a $10,000 limit.
Yeah.
But they do have a limit.
And I have we have a mutual friend, and you helped them get a black card.
Yeah, I helped.
How hard is that, or what are, or is it hard at all, or what do you need for that?
It's not hard. It's for him it was easy. He was spending about $350,000 a month in marketing, and so in order to get a Centurion card, the black card, you have to spend at least $250,000 a month for 12 months. So you got to spend $3 million a year in some type of expense on a platinum card, or you have to have $5 million net worth. So for him, it was easy. He's got the $5 million in net worth, but he wasn't spending. He was spending $300,000 a month, $350,000, but he was using multiple different credit cards. So all I had to do with him was just put all of it on the one card. The hard thing was you can't go from spending $50,000 a month to $350,000 because American Express. I think they had him capped at like 100. And so I told him, you got to spend 100. A couple months later, ask for an increase. Then you spend 200, and then you ask for an increase. And then they ultimately raised him up to $1 million, his pre-spending limit. And then he spent like $350 a month. And then once that 12 months hit, he applied for the Centurion card and he got it.
Yeah.
Unless you do a lot of traveling, the Centurion card is really not worth it. In his case, he does a lot of traveling, and so it's totally worth it because it's like a $7,500 annual fee. It was $15,000, but I think they dropped it to $7,500. And the reason it's worth it if you travel a lot is you immediately get the elite status at all the airlines, all the hotels. So, like for example, I have elite status with Marriott.
Yeah.
When I go to Marriott, I book the cheapest room I can possibly get at Marriott.com. And when I check in, I ask for a suite, and I almost always get a suite, and I don't pay for the suite. So I'll pay $80 a night, and I get a $500 a night suite. Just like at the Ritz when I went to Driven the first time.
Yeah.
I paid the cheapest room, and I got a huge-ass suite that night because I'm on the Ritz-Carltons. I don't even know what my status is with them, but they upgraded me for free. So that's some of the advantages of these business credit cards. They don't show up on your personal credit. They generally have much higher credit limits. The more you use them, the higher your score goes. And then you get a lot of rewards and stuff.
Yeah. Now, I have a few more things before we finish. But I remember you said once that or let me ask you about this first. The $3 million limit that you could get on credit cards. I've heard this kid talk about he makes it seem so easy.
Yeah.
But he's telling everybody. Even I was interested because I was I think it was like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I was doing my self improvement in the morning, listening to a podcast. It's 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and I'm listening, and then this kid saying, I could help you get a $3 million limit. I have a $3 million limit. I'm 17 or 18 and $3 million. I opened this business and then blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wait a minute, I could use another $3 million. So like, how do you do that?
So here's the deal with him. Almost all of his stuff, he's authorized users.
Yeah.
And I have a friend, a personal friend that I like have dinner with, not just some dude that I know on Facebook, like a real friend. He has over 15,000 credit cards.
Yeah.
15,000 credit cards. That's his business is putting. So if you want a $100,000 credit limit, I could text him right now your social, and in 30 days, you're going to have a $100,000 credit limit credit card on your credit report as an authorized user. That's how this kid did it. Mm-hmm. My grandson has $50,000 credit limits. He's 8 years old. How? Because they're my credit cards.
Yeah.
Right? You should put your girls on your credit cards. So when they turn 18, they will have 18 years of credit history. And that's all that's going on with him is most of his credit cards, he's authorized users on them, which just means he has access to the points. He has access to use them. He's not legally responsible to make the payments. How does that world work? In the business credit world, here's how it works. You have, let's say your dad, how old's your dad?
60 and actually 71.
Is he still working?
No.
Good credit, I'm assuming? Good credit, right?
Yeah.
So let's say that he was hard up for money. Mm-hmm. I could come to your dad and say, look, I will give you $5,000 a year to access your credit report. All you have to do is sign a couple applications here and there. And now he's getting $5,000 for just letting me use his credit file. And then I take that and I sell it to people, and they're called authorized user accounts. And so that's how that world works, is this kid could literally go into a retirement community and offer everybody in there $5,000. And the next thing you know, he's got all of these credit cards. That's one way they do it. The second way he does it, inside his course, because he sells a course on how to do all this. A few minutes into it, he's literally telling you how to commit a felony. And I've watched it and I was like, I'm out at this point, because it's big jail time, because it's bank fraud. Sometimes it's fraud against the U.S. government. Sometimes it's wire fraud, because it's going via the internet. They could get you for tax evasion when you lie, because he will tell you to make X amount of dollars down. So there's a lot of fraud stuff going on in his application. So it's really scary.
Yeah.
Which is why I tell people, do not buy his program. And if you bought it, don't follow his There's good information, but there's some bad stuff in there too. But he's young.
How does it even benefit you though if you're getting authorized user accounts?
Because if you get an authorized user account, you now have access to that card, so you get all the points and all the rewards. It's just you're not legally responsible.
But you can't use those limits, right?
Yeah, because you get a credit card.
Yeah.
Like if I put you on one of my credit cards as an authorized user, you're going to get a credit card in the mail.
But
you can swipe.
But that's not like it makes it seem like he's gonna create $3 million. So like let's say if you put me on a $300,000 credit limit card, and I use it, it's not really my money. It's like I could use it, but I'm really taking your money. Like it's not like I created $3 million that I could use. That's my money.
Well, if you think about it this way, Bill Gates.
Yeah.
The credit cards are not the Microsoft credit cards. Bill Gates never signed an application for. His CFO did it. Bill Gates is an authorized user on every credit card through Microsoft. So Microsoft is responsible for it. The CFO signed the personal guarantee, not Bill Gates. And that's all he's doing. He's getting elderly people to sign up as a CFO for that company. And so he's using it through their Social Security number. They're doing the personal guarantee.
But if he gets a lid on those, does it hurt the other people?
Yes.
Oh.
That is the scary part. And depending on if they want to or not, they could be legally responsible for everything this, not if they want to or not. They are legally responsible for everything this kid spends.
Yeah.
So if he goes out and maxes them out, and there's a way that he's doing this, and I'm not going to share it on the podcast because it's part of my business credit program with gift cards, how you use a credit card, you do certain things, which then you can rack up unlimited points, fly all over the world for free, like he's doing, and it doesn't really cost you anything.
Yeah.
Because of the way the reward cards work and gift cards work.
Awesome. So there's another really clear thing that I wanted to ask you about because I know you mentioned it before I heard it, that even if you have no lates, and because you said lates and collections are only a certain percentage of your credit score, that it also, like if you have cards that are maxed out, and even though you have no lates, no collections, it affects your credit maybe more. And sometimes you could, if like, let's say if you have like a $300,000 credit limit card that's paid off that you've added to clients or things like that. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah. So 35% of your credit score is based on payment history.
Yeah.
65% of your credit score has nothing to do with payment history. What people don't realize when they look at that FICO pie chart, the five things that matter, the most important thing on a credit report and credit score is credit cards and how you use the credit cards, how long you've had the credit cards, how much you owe on the credit cards, whether you make payments on time, whether you don't make payments on time. It's all credit cards. And so that's why people without credit cards will never have good credit. They can have fair credit, but they're never going to have a 740 or higher credit score. And I say never as in it might take them 30 years to do something that I could do in 3 to 4 months with a credit card. And so how much you owe in proportion to what your credit limit is could be more impactful to your credit score than a 30-day late. And the reason why is FICO is trying to predict the future of you having a major derogatory item over the next 24 months. So is someone who has maxed out credit cards more likely to have a 30-day late than someone who only has 1% utilization rate? It's kind of like the teenager that curfew's at midnight and he shows up at 11:59 versus the other teenager that shows up at 10:30. Who's more likely to be late? 11:59 teenager or 10:30 teenager? The 11:59 because they're pushing it to the very limit. And so what FICO will do is they look at it like that credit card's maxed out every single month. There's a high likelihood they're going to miss a payment and they just maxed out another credit card. Let's lower their credit score. And so they'll lower your credit score until you pay that card down. And that can hit you hundreds of points because you now go from a low-risk scorecard, and there's over 4,000 different scorecards, into a high-risk scorecard.
Yeah.
And the way scorecards work is they're bell curves. So the traditional FICO score is 300 to 850. The real score is 400 to 800. Because you've looked at thousands of credit reports. Have you ever seen an 850 credit score?
No.
No. You've seen a few over 800s,
Yeah.
but not very many. Most of them are between 400 and 800.
Yeah.
Right? That's the real number. Well, let's say that's the highest scorecard you can get, and that's where you were, and then you maxed out your credit cards. They're going to move you out of that scorecard to a 400 to 750. So if you do everything right, the most you can get is a 750. And then you max out another credit card. Now you're dropped down to 720. And this is where people that have never missed a payment, like the gentleman that was in here earlier, never missed a payment. And he had a low 600 credit score. Why? Because he constantly buys cars and flips them, and he had every single one of his credit cards were maxed out. Why were they maxed out? Because they were small little $200, $300, $500 credit limit cards that he was using his business credit for the big purchases, and the little credit cards was for his wife to go grocery shopping on. And so all I had to do was I got him to stop buying cars and flipping them in his personal name and start doing it through the business, and then get some high limit credit cards. He got a couple credit cards at $20,000, and now he's in the 800s. That's all we did with him. So how you use your credit card is very, very important. You want to do whatever you can do to not miss a payment. And sometimes that means skipping rent, paying your rent late, paying your electric bill late, but you got to make those minimum credit card payments. because it's better to pay a late payment to your landlord than it is have a late payment for the next 7 years and then having to hire me to clean it up for you later.
Yeah. Because you mentioned also that there's 400 different credit score calculators.
There's over 4,000 different scorecards.
Yeah, because I've noticed sometimes you run it under a mortgage credit report and it's like 700, and then Capital One says you're like at 560.
Yep.
And then like everything's they're all different.
So that was the mortgage credit report is a mortgage model.
Yeah.
Capital One is a credit card model. The car dealership has a different model.
Yeah.
And then inside those models are lots of different models. It's kind of like at the carnival. You have all those little buckets and you throw a little ping pong and you try to get in a different bucket and it bounces from one bucket to the next. And that's what we call them. They're just buckets.
Yeah.
And it could be that one credit card's 1 month old and maxed out. That puts you in this bucket. It's 1 month old and a bankruptcy. That puts you in this bucket. Bankruptcy with a new late payment. That puts you in that bucket. And it's because FICO is trying to predict the future over the next 24 months, and they are extremely accurate.
Yeah, and this explains because one time I think I had like a 700 something credit score in my mortgage report, and I was like really confident. I went to a car dealership, they ran it, and they said I had like a 580.
Yeah.
And then I went to Ferrari,
Yep.
and they said I had a 700 something.
Yeah, because Ferrari's going to pull your consumer score model, which is based on credit cards. The car dealership pulled it based on your car loan history. So I had a friend that I took down to the dealership. She had never in her entire life ever bought a new car. Never had a car loan. She had 800 credit scores and credit cards. 780s, 801, 83. Went in, she had like a 5-something credit score.
Yeah.
She was completely losing her mind. I'm like, Beth, it's because you've never had a car loan.
Yeah.
You're still going to get, and they still gave her a paper because they were able to pull her credit and see that she had a high credit card models, but she'd never had a car loan. So she still got a paper. Instead of getting 0% interest, she paid like 1.9. But that's what's happened is they're using different models. So in your case, when you went down to get your Ferrari, they're going to pull the consumer score versus a car loan score because you probably didn't have any car loans on there for any time period because you were you had your Ford Explorer, right? That was your car.
One of my first ones, yeah.
Right, and so
but then I got the Maserati, then they got the Rolls that I financed, but that was the highest one I got. So when I got the Ferrari, the first one, they asked me for 39,000 down, and my payment was about $2,100 a month, and they made me put more down payment because I didn't have a history of a car that expensive. But then the funny thing is, Ferrari doesn't report the Ferrari payment, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
And then when I went back to get my newer Ferrari, they only asked me for I think $5,000 or $10,000, and it was a more expensive car.
Exactly, and it's because Ferrari has their own money, so they're using their own money, and they don't have to report. Now, why wouldn't they want to report? One, because it's expensive, and two, the people like you and I that are driving the Ferraris and other people, we don't want it on our personal credit. And they're almost all business owners, not always, but they don't want it on the personal credit report. So Ferrari just looks at it as our clients don't want it there, and it's expensive to do it, so why even bother doing it? And that's the other thing. The Ferrari owners, they generally don't keep the cars forever, right?
Yeah.
And if you pay off loans early, and that's what happened in this other guy's case, every 6 months he was buying a new car. And if you do that, you will always have low credit scores. You need to go full term with your loans, 4 to 5 years on car loans, or pay them down in the way that I teach on how to pay them down so you're not paying interest.
Oh, yeah.
But with Ferrari owners, they don't have them 4 or 5 years. And so they know that when that client comes in to trade in the Ferrari and the new one, it's going to hurt their credit if they pay off that loan and report it. So they just don't report it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good stuff.
Well, Randy, thank you so much, and I'm really excited. You said you're probably going to be available January 19th for the boot camp.
Yeah, I'll fly in from British Columbia. I'll leave early. I'll leave a day early.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, because there's a lot more things that I want to cover, but we've been over an hour already, and I just want to let the people know where they could follow you, like your favorite platform.
Yeah,
for
Instagram, just Rondy Lambeth, RondiLambeth. It's really easy. I'm the only Rondy on Instagram. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, it's all Rondy Lambeth.
And also put the information below. So thank you guys. Thank you, Rondy.
All right, thank you, man.
Appreciate you, man.